All right. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, Southwestern College and general public. We are so glad to be here. My name is Victor Brown. I'm with Student Employment Services, Department of Southwestern College. And we are so grateful today. We are so grateful today to have the amazing opportunity to share some great opportunities for employment. My name again is Victor from Southwestern College, and we on our employer spotlight today, we have a wonderful company called Easterseals, and we are going to get into that. But first, before we get into that, we're just going to talk a little bit about our department. So again, I represent Student Employment Services Department with Southwestern College, where we connect students to job internship opportunities. And not only that, we help with resume and cover letter building, interview techniques. We'll meet one-on-one for interview prep. We'll help you connect to internships on and off campus employment, cooperative work experience opportunity, education opportunities where you can get credit for volunteering and for working as well. And we do mini job fairs and events such as these where we connect students to real world opportunities. And today we have an amazing company with us today. Easterseals of Southern California is with us. Easterseals is a large company. You're going to hear more about their great opportunities and their amazing benefits as well. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing. We have the opportunity to host a Easterseals representative, Mr. John Nguyen. He is an amazing individual, and he's going to share more about the company. John, welcome to the Employer Spotlight. How are you doing today?
Hi, Victor. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good as well. So first and foremost, John, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your position?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is John Nguyen. I am a talent acquisition specialist here at Easterseals, which is just a fancy way of saying recruiter. My job is to find candidates who, I believe would excel in our various job openings. So I'm the one finding the candidates who are applying, or, maybe reaching out to candidates who I think would be a great fit. Talking to them, introducing them to the organization, as well as what the position looks like. In a lot of ways, I'm kind of the first impression for a lot of people to the organization. So, it's a pretty important job.
Awesome. And John, can you tell us a little bit about Easterseals? I know there might be some people who are asking the question. Tell us about Easterseals. What does Easterseals do?
Yeah, absolutely. So Easterseals is a nonprofit organization that works very closely with the special needs community. We're actually the 7th largest nonprofit in the United States.
Say that one more time.
Yep, we are the 7th largest nonprofit within the entire United States. We're broken up into over 65 different affiliates scattered throughout the United States, but Easterseals Southern California is the largest affiliate. So we have service areas, all throughout Southern California, ranging from like as far north as Bakersfield, all the way down south to San Diego. So yeah, I mean, we've been around for a little over 100 years now. So we have that rich history behind us, but at the same time, I believe, we're constantly growing. We went from about 300 employees 15, maybe 20 years ago to almost 2,500 today. So, while we do have that history behind us, we are still currently experiencing that like really high growth rate. And we would love to, find wonderful candidates to kind of introduce them to the organization. We're built up from about 5 really main service lines, which we'll talk about a little bit more today, but, they're going to be autism services, child development services, living options, adult day services, and employment services. So awesome. Yeah, I mean, in summary, we're just a nonprofit organization that caters to individuals with disabilities from early childhood to well into adulthood.
That is amazing. So you already shared a little bit about the sectors within the company, and within the nonprofit. Can you share a little bit about some of the positions that you're hiring for at this time?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, there's so many different positions, in Easterseals. And if anybody wanted to know a little bit more, I'd always suggest just going into our main website and kind of just looking throughout all of them. But the main positions I really wanted to talk about is one, the behavior interventionist role. This is part of our autism services line. Essentially, this is really great for students, such as the ones that we're talking to today, because it does start off as a part-time job, and it's really flexible hours. Typically, we're looking for candidates, Monday through Friday from about 3 to 8 p.m. So really easy to schedule your classes around. And yeah, I mean, you'd be going into the homes of families with children with special needs, primarily autism, working with them in terms of like positive reinforcement, behavior therapy. It's a lot of like play therapy and kind of just reinforcement. So it is really fun. It's a great way of kind of getting your foot in the door in terms of, a lot of that field. Another position that we have is for a service line called Child Development Services. And this service line primarily works with young children in particular. So we have two positions that I'd love to talk about. One is the early childhood educator role. This is primarily kind of like a traditional preschool teacher role. So essentially, if the behavior interventionist was working like in an in-home setting, the early childhood educator would work in a site, kind of like a school setting. So we're working with infants, toddlers, preschoolers, anyone from like 0 to 5 years old. We have these child development centers scattered throughout Southern California. We have a couple in San Diego as well. And they're essentially, preschools or daycares, for these young children with special needs and or children coming from low income families. And so you're going to be working in a classroom setting. You'd be working in a classroom setting with groups of young children. And yeah, it's just, kind of that traditional teacher role. And then another position in child development services is called our home-based visitor role. This is kind of like a combination of the early childhood educator and the behavior interventionist position. Whereas the behavior interventionist was going into the homes and providing behavior therapy, and the early childhood educator is in a site providing like lesson plans and curriculum. The home-based visitors going to the homes, but providing those lesson plans. So you're working on a one-on-one basis, working with young children, like typically 0 to 3 years old, pregnant mothers, you're working with the families really closely, but it is providing that lesson plan and curriculum. And then we have a couple of other positions in San Diego. We have our life skills coach and our employment specialist, which works with like more adults. Those are going to be in our employment services and adult day services service line. But yeah, I mean, these are just some of the positions kind of located in San Diego. But again, definitely check out the website and, see it filters out through location. It's great, great tool.
Awesome. And all these positions are posted on Handshake to students, so you can go right to your campus apps to apply for them as well. I do want to ask, what are some of and this actually came up in the chat, students, you can jump in the live chat and share your questions. Especially the first position, the behavior specialist with autism, that sounds really big and kind of frightening. What are some of the requirements? Do you require somebody to have, specialize in autism already? I know you said it's for students, but what are some of the requirements for these positions as well?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So the behavior interventionist position, it sounds really intimidating. It's really not. There's no special requirements. We're looking for anyone with any background working with children, any background working with individuals with special needs. If you have any of that experience or exposure, I mean, that's great. So if you have family members or friends with young children, with special needs, or, just having that exposure is going to really help you. If you're currently majoring in psychology or, child development, just having that type of education and that background is going to be a really great indicator of success for this position. Here at Easterseals, we provide a lot of structure and support. So we're definitely going to be assisting you with that training. We want to make sure that you're feeling comfortable going out there. But yeah, I mean, no hard requirements, just, an aptitude for learning, and that type of exposure and experience is always going to help, but definitely not required.
Okay, that's so good to hear. And getting assistance along the way. Students, not only does this company have longevity, but they're willing to hire you, even part-time positions, but also getting that assistance. That is amazing, being able to get support while you're working. For our students, you also have some additional benefits and support that I've heard of as well at Easterseals. What are some of the benefits that you have for students while they're working at Easterseals?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our benefits are going to include, like the 401k retirement plan, paid time off, paid holidays, medical, dental, vision, and all of that. But on top of all of that, we're really excited to kind of introduce some of our like compensation packages. We have a tuition reimbursement program for students, which is, really great for students, kind of getting into the organization. And so essentially, if you're currently obtaining a degree or want to go back to school and all of that stuff, that's something that we're absolutely going to assist you with. We do have 3 prerequisites in order to qualify for that tuition reimbursement program. One, you need to be working with us at least like in a part-time or full-time role, which the behavior interventionist position or any of the other positions that I mentioned are all part-time or full-time. 2, you need to be with us for a minimum of 6 months. And 3, the position or the degree needs to be relatively within your field. So if you're going to be coming on to us as a preschool teacher, I don't know if we're going to be paying for your accounting degree, but anything in psychology or child development or anything like that, that's fair game. And essentially, every calendar year, we provide you with $1,500 towards your tuition. Once you've been with us for a total of 5 years, that number doubles to 3,000 every calendar year. So that's one way that we support you. We provide a handful of different professional development programs and certification programs. So there's a lot of opportunities for like your professional development and growth within the organization. And then last but not least, right now, we are also offering a referral bonus program. Essentially, if once you're hired, if you know anyone that you think would be a great fit for Easterseals, whether it's a family member, friend, coworker, what have you, for any position that is, part-time or full-time, if they get an offer, you would receive a $1,500 referral bonus, and there's no limit to how many people you can refer. So, this is just one of our ways of trying to build upon the culture that we have, finding like-minded individuals that kind of buy into our mission statement and our values and, share those same views and all of that. But these are just some of the many benefits that we offer.
Wow, that is a lot of great benefits for our students. That's awesome.
Last but not least, sorry, I totally forgot as
well. So many more benefits.
Yeah,
oh
one thing that we did just add on as well. We do have a coaching program for loan forgiveness. So this is still new. I apologize. I don't have too much information on it, but I believe we had about like hundreds of thousands of loans forgiven just this year. I think I believe it comes into effect 10 years after working at a nonprofit. So we're talking like the long game right now. But in terms of nonprofits, we do qualify for that. And yeah, we have had a lot of loan forgiveness just this year alone.
And that's really good because that goes into my next question about when I look at the career sectors, if you can mention them again, but when you're saying them, it really sounds like you can build a long-term career at Easterseals. This isn't something that just temporary or just while you're in college, but you can actually go and work in your field while you're in college, going in the same field and then continue to grow. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the various career fields students can go into?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned earlier, the 5 major service lines here at Easterseals are going to be autism services, child development services, living options, adult day services, and employment services. Each one of them specializes, in a different type of support, maybe primarily working with young children. Another one might be primarily working with young adults or, the elderly population or anything like that. And even though you may, start in one specific service line, there's a lot of opportunities for growth, whether that is, vertical within your own service line or horizontal where you're kind of just transitioning to a different service line. There's always different opportunities for growth. I myself didn't start off as a recruiter. I kind of grew into my role. So that's just like one of the many ways, but someone on our team, I love talking about this story. One of our team members started off as a behavior interventionist for about 5 years with Easterseals. And then he just really loved talking to people about the position, and he found a passion of kind of finding like-minded individuals, and so he transitioned into a role called our ambassador role, where a lot of the times we try to introduce potential candidates or students to behavior interventionists that are currently working, so that they have an idea of what the position would look like. And he excelled in that role, and he found a passion for it, and so he transitioned into a recruiter role. And so, not a lot of people think that they can, that's a normal transition, but that's just one of the many stories and many types of opportunities where, so long as you get your foot in the door, and so long as you, have an interest and a passion to kind of staying within the organization and helping this population, there's so many different ways of growing within Easterseals, in your specific service line, transitioning to different service lines, using that tuition reimbursement, or, a bunch of different mentorships or anything like that. Yeah, there's just a plethora of ways to continuously grow within the organization.
Awesome. So the big question, how do you apply? What's the hiring process when you are applying for Easterseals?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, Handshake is going to have all of our positions that we post. We also do have our own external website. If you wanted to check us out, it's easterseals.com/ESSC jobs. And that's going to have all of our information as well. But, once you apply, honestly, just, submit your application and resume, and, we'd love to reach out to you. On our website and on Handshake, you can filter out, all of the different locations, all of the different service lines, if you're looking for full-time or part-time work. And then, once you apply, recruiters such as myself is going to reach out to you, talk to you, and kind of just, walk you through the process and make sure that, you speak to the hiring managers and hopefully kind of get that interview.
That is awesome. So you hear it, students, you can apply in Handshake, you can apply on their website. They've got amazing positions, amazing benefits. And one of the last things, I don't see any additional questions in the live chat. One of the questions you covered, the type of experience you asked for in this role and need any certifications. You do not, just a little bit of experience working with children, for the positions with working with children, and especially working with children with disabilities. But this is Easterseals. Wow. Easterseals sounds like the place to be. Oh man, it's so great. And just again, could you name some of the majors that you usually take that students come in from?
Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, the top 3 is definitely going to be like psychology, child development, early childhood education, and then maybe a little bit like sociology sprinkled in there as well. But those are like the main top 3 or 4 that we usually see, for these positions.
That is great. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but is there anything else that you'd like to share with our students, or even any things that you suggest that they should do when they apply, some ways to stand out?
Yeah, absolutely. Just in terms of like tips and tricks, one big thing is a lot of the times, on Handshake or on our website, you'll see kind of like a deadline date. And so a lot of students, they kind of make the assumption of like, oh, so long as I get my application in before the deadline date, I'll be considered and all of that thing. That's kind of just forced upon us a lot of the times. If you're interested in the job, don't hesitate to apply as soon as possible. There are plenty of times where, people take their time and they finally apply and the position has already been filled. And so if you, are interested in the position, definitely reach out and send in your application and resume, and we'd love to talk to you as soon as possible. Another little piece of advice I'd love to give is really adapt and change your resume depending on the organization. So a lot of times, when we're looking for like a behavior interventionist, people don't really put down personal experiences because it's not like a professional experience. But honestly, if we're looking for a behavior interventionist and we want that, we're looking for experience with young children, babysitting experience or volunteering experience or anything like that is going to shine a lot more than working at a movie theater. Not, I used to work in a movie theater, so nothing wrong with that, but like, really make sure that the information that you're providing is relevant to the application and to the position that you're applying for. So those are just two of the tips and tricks, I guess, that I would provide.
John, I'm so glad you said that. If you see the position, make sure you apply before it gets taken away and snatched up. Easterseals has amazing positions. And then I'm so glad that you said that. Babysitting, even if you watch your family members' kids or friends' kids, that's so important that you add that. Don't discount that experience. It's relevant and necessary. John, thank you so much for being here on our Employer Spotlight today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We are so grateful to have Easterseals. They've got amazing positions. Make sure you head over to Handshake to apply for those positions, as well as even their company website if you want. You'll be able to see this later, but make sure you go in Handshake, make sure to apply. Like John said, wait too late, it might be gone. So make sure you see what you like, apply for it ASAP. To our students, continue to stay connected with us for more employer spotlights, more job opportunities. We regularly post Easterseals opportunities on our social media accounts. So if you got an IG on Instagram, you got a Twitter, a Facebook, make sure you go on YouTube. We put our workshops and webinars on them and this one as well. So if you want to go back and look at it, you can. We are so grateful again to Easterseals for joining us. John, you are amazing. Easterseals is amazing. Thank you for being with us. Students, we look forward to seeing you next time on the next Employer Spotlight. Give it up for John in the chat. Thank you so much, John. Thank you, Easterseals. We greatly appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Victor.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.